Foundation for this reserved seats for men on the panel. So, importantly, I want to say that the reason why I could represent my principal here is because the house itself already does a lot.
I'll give you time to breathe.
It makes it easy for, even if it's not a lawmaker, someone who, like you said, work from the front row of parliament to be able to say what parliament is already doing. So I want to start by saying that, the work of parliament to be able to say what parliament is already doing. So I want to talk about first, the work of parliament to be able to say what parliament is already doing. And that's goes a long way about first. The work of parliament to be able to say what parliament is already doing. And that's goes a long way about first. I have to be able to say what parliament is already doing. I didn't want to sound like that women have come in, represented, taken out through the court, and then we also lost the deputy chief whip, Honorable Nonuga. Two other women have come in, represented, taken out through the court, and then we also lost the deputy chief whip, Honorable Nonuga. Two other women have come in, represented, taken out through the court, and then we also lost the deputy chief whip, Honorable Nonuga. Two other women have come in, represented, taken out through the court, and then we also lost two other women have come in, represented, taken out through the court, and then we also lost two other women have come in, represented, taken out through the court, and then we also lost two other women have come in, represented, taken out through the court, and then we also lost two other women have come in. Of of relevant institutions as it relates to the national gender policy. I'll give an example. Honorable Kafila Togbara, who is the chairperson of the Women Affairs Committee, personally has sponsored 2 bills. One, to ensure, even though this is not about political representation, but to ensure that you have gender compliance departments in the police, in the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps. You have affirmative action as it relates to training, as it relates to recruitment. So why this does not speak totally to democracy, this is just to inform all of us that on the other side, the House is doing a lot to ensure that women's voices are not just what is aired during campaigns, but even in the House, that the women play a key role.
These bills, have they been passed? What stage are they in?
They are in the committee stage currently, which means that they have passed the second reading. Okay. So when the committee is done with the public hearing and reports, it will come for vote. Consideration of reports, and then that one is not a constitutional amendment. It doesn't need to go to the State House of Assembly.
Okay,
Thank you
I'm
very
going to
much.
come back to you and push it. Let's put our hands together for him. Want to come a bit to civil society
Democracy.
side now.
This is just to inform all of us that
you've heard about these. Okay, I'm going to come back to you and push it. Let's put our hands together for him.
The bill on special seats. We know the role that the VAP.
Want to come a bit to civil society side now.
This is just to inform all of us that
you've heard about these. Okay, I'm going to come back to you and push it. Let's put our hands together for him.
The bill on special seats. We know the role that the VAP.
Want to come a bit to civil society side now.
This is just to inform all of us
current laws
that
you've heard about these. Okay, I'm going to come back to you and push it. Let's put our hands together for him.
Bill on special seats. We know the role that the VAP.
To also, especially recognize and appreciate the keynote speaker for being a constant, consistent voice for women and, of course, the society. And also to thank GFG, Goodluck Jonathan Foundation. My brother, in my opinion, much as I cannot say that what we have is perfect or that what we have is enough in the full sense of it, but what we have, if it is administered, implemented with the right will give us some good success. Now, the reason why it is pertinent that we improve on our legal framework, particularly as it pertains to passage of the Special Seats for Women Bill, is because over time, our leaders have shown that they lack the altruistic intentions to proceed in the right will for the people. And then it becomes necessary to tie these expectations to enforceable mechanisms, which is why a legislation, a statute, becomes a better option. But if we have the people who have the will, if we had the leaders who understand that even where there is a lacuna, the burden on them, the obligation on them is for the people, and they can interpret. I mean, we have what we call judicial activism that has been going on across, jurisdictions, not just in Nigeria. And what does that? Why does that need to? Why do those happen? It simply happens because there is no way that any document can fully contemplate all human scenarios. We had a doctrine of necessity that arose when there was a vacuum of sorts in the seat of the presidency. Thank you. So what it means is that there will never be a time when we have 100% legal framework that will consider all scenarios and address all lapses or lacunas. Or no. That's not going to happen. But because our leaders have consistently failed us, it becomes necessary that for each one we observe, it is important that it is documented, it is enshrined as a law, so that it becomes enforceable. But while work continues towards ensuring that that happens, can we begin to give effect to what we have? Because even what we have, not much effect has been given to it. So I don't think that our challenge is more as to not having a full legal framework. I think most of our challenge is in the insincerity of the people who should implement, who should interpret, who should enforce what we have as at now.
Thank you very much. Totally agree with you on that, although I'm going to push you a bit when I come back to you. I want you to think a bit about what are the things that organizations like yours should do to help with that implementation. And I will ask you to rank what would be your top 2, 3 changes you might make to current legal frameworks, if at all they need to happen. Mama. Yes, she's moved from auntie to mommy. That's fine. You have been in the forefront for advocacy for women's rights issues and broader democratic governance issues in Nigeria for a very long time. I have to say, I really admire the work that persons like you and
NOB's son was very sick, second son. And we went to hospital. I asked her to wait in Lagos, let me go. He said, no, Auntie Ma, if I don't go, you will lose this election. I speak Hausa, I speak Yoruba, you don't. So, and we went there. Immediately we got with one Ekete bus. We used to enter buses. She started speaking Yoruba and I was at around 2 a.m. And by the next day, because the men in Win came there to stop me that I'm attacking them. By the next day, it was good as one because I know I have won. I became the National Secretary of Win. Because the time year that was in that position was going to further her study in UK. I became vacant. And Mary Abubakar moved from assistant to the men and I became assistant. When like now, we were in Enugu 2 weeks ago to train female students in soccer to contest election for any position in student union. 3 days ago, one called us. You told us to contest, and you told us that women should support women. I have told the vice chair of student union that I'm contesting, but she's supporting her boyfriend who is contesting against me. What do you do? Should I continue? She's asking me to step down. I said, go ahead. Today, when I finish here, I will call the dean to support that. I will go again. Because we told her, the fact is that we want to appear in the camera more now than before. We want to be the one who is making things happen. That's not the tradition we know. When Patricia Ete was the Speaker of House of Representatives, and they wanted to remove her, Professor Jade Akiode said, Ma, you people should move to Abuja. We didn't know her. We didn't vote for her. We didn't know about her. But because a woman interest is there, we all came to defend it. Professor Ferisha Kejuba of UNIFEM said we can fight over the color of dress and everything. But when it concerns the issues, concerns and interests of women, we should unite. Now what we do is to snap picture. We went there, even in our enemy's camp, to celebrate. No, that's not the issue. I know Esther, when she was Senate, when she was minister, immediately she became Labour Party. I'm not a political party person, and I will never be. I called Dr. Sam Amadi. I said, I want to go and have a one-on-one talk with her. That's what we should be doing. That we should always come together and support ourselves. We must disagree on everything. The men disagree. They kill themselves. You heard the story she just shared, and snacks. We need to tell them the truth about what we are going through. You don't just say we need more women. They will ask you the one we had. What has she done for us? They are more intelligent than you think they are. So when you have a position, wherever you find yourself, when you go to Plateau, ask the women, how are you doing? How is this terrorist attack affecting our women? Those encouraging words mean so much to them that you are coming to snap pictures with Dr. Matthew them in Abuja. So, and when we call for protest, like Situation Room is preparing for a national day of protest, always come out. Because if the House of Rep can disappear in one midnight and come and amend this electoral act, they say it cannot be amended. That means there is a window. So we can actually put our own views to be also, they should amend the things we want. The only thing they respect now, when you are fighting with people who are bad, the only thing they respect is the correction of voices. They respect it. If I'm even tired, somebody called me and said, I didn't see you talk on TV during a city election. I said, there's nothing new to say. He's staring at my face that I wasted my 5 years observing elections. And the rigging that will happen next year will be the first of its kind. So, and I'll go to TV, letting us in Chukuma, say, Moji, always going from state to state to write the rigging result and come to TV to make noise. That's what we've been doing. Can we do things differently? Can we move out and say, this is not acceptable? Women must have a seat in the table. When you stay, women must have a seat. And you say they have independent candidates, they will be laughing. But when we move, in Ibachi and Gombe in 1999, our women voted for women. Many lost their marriages because their husband killed here. They killed there. They know where their wives voted. And they were not bothered because we told them that our collective destiny lies in this queue, in voting for women. They need, it's not coming, somebody will come, I am the one who started special seat, and it's a lie. It is not true. It's not about the media. It is about the collective destiny of Nigerian women.
Yeah.
If we have women, men in the table, we would have reduced this maternal mortality that is going high, though they are lying, that it has come down. And we would have seen many young men and women in school. And we would have food, poverty level would decrease. No matter how NOB talk about reduction of poverty level and the hunger, it will continue going up because the people who have taken over our space and our destiny have no interest in the welfare and security of Nigerians. Thank you.
There is a lot to unpack there. Just to be sure, she's not saying women should get divorced to support other women. But there is a lot to unpack there about taking action, about being supportive, about going the extra mile. And I'm going to come back to get your final views ahead of the next elections, and I'll open it up to the audience soon. But I'll take one round of questions, and then please, if you have any questions for the panelists, you can put them together. Mr. Temidayo, you've told about what the House of Reps has done, is doing, to support the agenda for increased women political participation. We have an election coming up in under a year now. You've worked in the House of Reps for a while now. Away from the institutional hat you have, you've sat in on meetings, you've seen how this institution work. From your personal perspective, what should women who want to engage in politics, who want to contest for House of Reps in 2027, what should they be looking to do differently politically that you've seen your boss and other men in the House of Reps do?
I think it's a matter of engagement and keep showing up, learning as much as you can. I was in civil society and the media before my principal appointed me to be his aide directly from civil society. I didn't campaign for him. I didn't know him before. And so it's a similar thing that can happen with many, not just because I'm a man, it can happen with many women. But there is also, we cannot downplay the place of political actors who are there currently also doing what they need to do. And I'll give an example. My principal, for example, at some point, it felt like he is a voice for women and girls, but it felt like we cannot have an office where you have only more of male, and he was deliberate about even increasing the female population in his own office. And so you had to hire, like, I would say it's a deliberate bias to ensure that you have more women, even as a representative, where decision is being made that will matter to lives. Now, I'll just give a little example with my own, from my own perspective. When my principal informed me last night that I'll be representing him on the panel, I could have walked into this place alone. But in the audience, I have my colleague who's a senior legislative aide like myself. We are peers. But I told her to come that I know that you're always passionate about women issues. This is outside of discretion of my principal. This can be translated to many other spaces. So the connection between what my principal, how he thinks and what he does is what I have also tried to put forward. So my colleague is here. But on a larger spectrum, I also think that there is need to, first for the low-hanging fruits, we need to mount pressure on lawmakers who are already there currently to ensure that the reserved seats or special seats, as well as the independent candidacy, these things scale through. Secondly, I want to urge the women who are in political parties. Unfortunately, that Senator Usman had to leave, but I want to urge every woman who is in a political party to also ensure that their voices do not slow down their voices in the political parties. I would say that out of the 17 women in the House currently, 8 of them are first-timers. 281 of the 360 members in the House are first-timers. And out of that number, 8 of them are women. Now, what happened? I also need to say that 10 of these 17, or I think 11 of them, are APC members. The others belong to other parties. Of course, some have now defected to the APC. But this is the point I'm driving at. I'm saying that those women could come to the House because these political parties made it easy. They reduced they removed those structural barriers. Things like pay for only expression of interest, do not pay for nomination form. And it's not a joke that you had 8 new women come in. So the women who are in political parties must continue to push to ensure that their own party, where they belong to, must ensure that they move from woman leader to actually making things easy for women to be represented. The third thing I want to talk about is the independent candidacy. Now, the independent candidacy is not necessarily a substitute for political parties, but what it does, like I mentioned before, is that it makes the space, it expands the space for both men and women. But women who particularly have had that structural barrier issue where a godfather or somebody will decide who is giving tickets, this is an avenue for women to be able to scale through and ensure that they get into those rooms that decisions concerning women are taken. The last one is a very personal opinion, which I just started studying on recently. Beyond reserve seats, which, by the way, is for 16 years. It's supposed to be like an experiment for 16 years, which is good because there's nowhere in the world where inclusion is not deliberate. For you to bring people to sit in the room where they ought to be, then you have to be deliberate about it. There is also something we need to explore, but not in this electoral cycle, but something for a food for thought: proportional representation. So we have a situation like when Madam was talking about the FCT elections. The person who won the AMAC elections, for example, had, I think, 40-something thousand votes, 44,000 votes, and then the next person had some other votes. What happens to those votes? They are all wasted. But in proportional representation, for example, you have a situation where seats in parliament are not allotted only on the basis of a winner takes all. So based on how a party performed in an election, you now distribute seats. I can look at the presidential election. The other 2 candidates or 3 major candidates had more votes than the current president. So those millions of votes were wasted. Now, proportional representation ensures that those millions of people in some form of party representation, seats will be distributed in parliament to those sets of people. So this is something that I have not really heard people talk about, but because we feel like it's complex, but we need to begin to start thinking about proportional representation. In that way, you are not begging a man to say, support, what's it called now, special seats bill, or the independent candidacy. People still want to play with parties. If it doesn't work, proportional representation is something. Now, I'll close with this thought, which is the fact that this conversation has been about democracy and the voices of women. Women must move beyond just having their voice in the room to having power. Power is something that changes a lot of things. And the moment for our democracy where we begin to take the voices and power of women seriously, we will not just be moving from participation, but we'll be moving from participation to progress. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I know you said finally, but I hope that we have some questions from the audience before we wrap up. Barrister Choma, I promise to come back to you because you raised a very important point that we struggle with in Nigeria. We have a proliferation of legislation in Nigeria. Implementation is often very challenging. And you did mention this point before. In very practical terms, I mean, we've worked with FIDA for a while as well at the national level. FIDA doesn't just do advocacy, you do litigation, you do quite a few things to ensure that these laws are adhered to. Do you think what you're doing is working? What more can FIDA and organizations like yours do to enhance the role of women in politics in Nigeria?
Okay, yes, we are doing quite a lot, even if I say so myself, at the risk of sounding immodest. And there is room for more, yes. When it comes to using our courts as a tool for empowering more women, one of the things FIDA is doing, which I think will ultimately galvanize more empowerment for women, is if you look at our laws. Maybe let me narrow it down to the VAP Act, where there are prohibited, actions which are offenses, and then you have victims who have suffered these violations, and they come to you. And I'll easily cite the example of what we see playing out in that's Cross River State now, where a woman has been violated by her husband, who is supposed to be an honorable, unfortunately not. And that woman turns around to say, no, he didn't quite beat me. It's AI. She has said the images people saw is AI generated. For those of us in FIDA who deal with this every day, we're not surprised. Those are the frustrations we deal with. You have victims, you have people who suffer different infractions, different violations, and you're ready to work with them. You're ready to help them get justice. And halfway on that journey, the person, maybe for fear of stigmatization, maybe because they have been socialized or conditioned to blend with their abusers, maybe because of other social benefits they get from those abusers as being their benefactors also, they bail on you. So one of the things we do in FIDA Abuja, which I know happens across FIDA branches, in Nigeria, is we let them realize that even when the family is willing or elects to settle a crime privately, we tell them it is not your prerogative to decide how this matter will be settled. While it is your daughter, your son, your whoever, your wife that is a victim, this is not just a crime against the victim. It is a crime against the Nigerian state. And if it is a crime against the Nigerian state, FIDA we will follow it through. And if you become a hindrance to this justice, because justice is three-way. It is not only justice for you. It is also justice for the society. And if you are going to be an impediment to us getting this justice for the society, it means you're aiding and abetting this. Even you is liable for prosecution. And it has made a few of them rethink their steps. And I think part of what we also do, which is yielding results, is that some of them do not realize, which is the power of information, the reason why we must continue to talk, Some of them do not even realize that there is opportunity in our laws for them to get meaningful compensation. So you find that a person has been violated, a 14-year-old has been impregnated, and then somebody promises, don't worry, I'll train her through school. I'll be giving the family 50,000 naira. Very ridiculous offers. And then the person not knowing there is opportunity for more, because they think that all the criminal justice system is interested in is punishing the offender and then nothing for them. we enlighten them to know that it's not like that. Beyond punishing the offender, there is also justice for the victim, which includes, amongst other things, opportunity for a worthy compensation, which can be court-ordered and more enforceable. So those are some of the things FIDA is doing. And while it may appear that these things are mostly focused on, gender-based violence, it also translates even into support for women in the political space. And permit me to backstep a bit to something my brother spoke about earlier when he said, when he was reeling out the testimonies of some of the strides that our honorable members are making towards advancing spaces for women or support for women participation. And he did say that there is a bill for, that though it doesn't really relate to political participation, but that it's a bill to open up spaces for women, for gender compliance in the police and all of those. And my dear, it actually has a direct linkage even to political participation. And I'm saying this because, just as that reference, when we have more women as gatekeepers in all the ordinary places, then it means that for every impediment on a woman's way, we're talking about political violence now, who are the interveners? Who should be the interveners? It's from the police. If you do not have women there who understand that this is not just a political issue, it is a violence issue. And if it is a violence issue, it is a crime. And we must ensure that justice is served. If we don't have the people who have that right understanding, who has an interest, a vested one, in ensuring that we change the paradigm, it's not going to happen. So ultimately, just as we do what we do, we extend it to support women who face whatever systemic barriers, whether in their political parties or even from their communities. Because sometimes the problem starts even from the home. She goes to attend a political meeting and they tell her you can't come home once it is 6:30. You're a married woman. Why did you go out? You just see there are so many of those impediments on the way of women. And we must unbundle them and not lump everything into one basket. And for each one we're able to dismantle or help pose resistance against, we're strengthening women ultimately for even the bigger grabs.
Thank you very much. That is really comprehensive and I hope helpful. I'm trying so much not to insert my views into the conversation, as tempting as it is. Mama, one question for you, then I go to the audience. We're going to have elections in less than a year. As a co-convener of the Situation Room, as somebody in Women's Rights Movement, and also speaking to quite a good attendance of women in the room, what should be the main thing you're going to ask of the political parties leading to 2027? The primaries are going to start next month. What should be the key things we ask of them from now to ensure that we get more women on ballots in 2027?
Okay, there's two things that have been agitating my mind I need to say first. I will start by saying that for us to have the best performed ministers, honorable ministers of women affairs, Pauline from Plateau, and Josephine Anini from Edo, there was intentionally conscious effort by President Obasanjo to give instruction to all the states to give him women. And we also, Goodluck Jonathan, President Goodluck Jonathan, also made efforts to bring more women to the table. And under him, that was how our beautiful sister that left became a minister. We should start by celebrating those two and give them an award. And in that award, they have to make a statement. We need now to build a women movement, bringing conscious women to a WhatsApp group, not those kinds of movement and co-conspirators are forming women who have arrived. So we need to build a broad-based movement, WhatsApp group, that everybody will be there. bringing ideas and concerns and needs. We need to, because why did they, even when Tony Anini was Miss Visit, he didn't even want Josephine. But because our noise was disturbing them, they have to bring their daughters and wives. We need their daughters and wives on the table. And we will need to tell APC, as they have concluded how to lead the elections, that as we are leading the nations, we need the women. We should be telling them that we know. Like even this one they have gone to do in House of Prayer. We need to tell them, we are down. We don't need to fall again. We are very down. We don't need to do anything. We need to step up our voices. We are not talking. We are not talking. We need, like the last meeting Plague had last year, I say media used to call us to come and speak for their interest. We need to start calling them. We have this interest. We want to speak. And we also make that interest their own interest. And coming for the situation room, I think we have a line of activities to mobilize citizens. Because where we are now, we cannot do anything. This is the worst National Assembly ever. And when you go to the states, they are not better. So the only thing, the people who are supposed to make laws for the good governance have abandoned the law and pursuing how they will come back to the National Assembly. So we have to do things that will make them to think a bit. We have to take over the civic space. We need to, because they are busy planning how to lead election, they have abandoned our civic space. We need to occupy it. And when we from my experiences, I've been doing this over 30 years. When we talk, they listen. When we take over the space, they will always listen. And when we are taking over space, like Situation Room is planning now, we are not only dancing in front of Abuja, we are taking it to the states. The states should also mobilize people to come. They will go to radio stations. People are already sufficiently mobilized by hardship, by poverty, by hunger. All they are looking for is leadership. Let us provide the leadership. We need to do things differently by raising our voices, calling our members. When you are coming, my sister Lois, you come with those girls that follow you always. They dance faster than you. So, and they will come, and everybody, and they will say, look at these young girls. They believe in us. When Situation and Room and Motion came out on the 28th of, you were there on the 9th, on the 28th of January, every other people came out. Even the Labour Party and the ADC that have been sleeping. They were sleeping and didn't know when they took power from them. So all of them came out. So we need to also make them to come out because the time we are is very dangerous. If we have to go through this for another 4 years, it will, like my Bible said, the remnant will be small. Thank you.
Okay, I almost feel like ending this panel with that very important contribution. Because you had like this sound bite, I'm not a media person, but you said people are already mobilized by hardship. And Auntie NF formed the WhatsApp group and then add you, because it's WhatsApp group of the elite. Okay, I want to open it up for a couple of questions. I'm going to take, oh boy. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1 minute each, please. 1 minute, please. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lois Auta. I'm from the Network of Women with Disabilities. Thank you very much, brilliant panelists. So you asked a good question, moderator, that what do women want? I want to talk. Great Nigerian women, we want the president to invite leadership of the National Assembly and give them instructions on ensuring that this special seat bill is passed into law, including women and girls with disabilities. It is enshrined in the Nigerian Disability Act that 5% of every opportunity should be reserved for women and persons with disabilities. How can we achieve that? Then my question goes to the National Assembly representative. What role are you playing to ensure that in the special seats bill that the 5% is reserved for women and girls with disabilities? Thank you.
Thank you very much for keeping to time. Second question over there.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks to the panelists for spotlighting the issues. My name is Christiana Iguma. I'm representing RAPA. My question is, what you spoke about, like in terms of political participation. We all know that most of the men that come into politics started from maybe schools and all that. What are the things that, massive things that need to be done for women to begin to be leaders in their own space? Like the marketplace, how many women are leaders? Most of leadership overflow from all the places where they are leaders already. I'm thinking that as we do politics, what are those things we can do that women in other spaces where they are even very, very visible become to be leaders that can flow into politics? And then the second thing is that, what are women also doing? They always say they come late to the party. Like, men are already visible, already planning before 2027, aside from the special seat bill. Women that want to contest and participate, some have not even started. What should be done to correct those? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Was there another hand here? Okay, no, that is it. Can you come over here?
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Francisca, and my question is, how do we change the narrative or the perception that women leaders are all kind? Yeah, so people will tell you that they have had bosses who has not been nice, that women, when they lead, they are this, they are that. And honestly, I don't argue them, because I've had some experiences as well. So it's usually out of experience that some of them speak about this. Like on the panel section, I know somebody I've worked with who is a woman on this very panel. I did something with her. Until date, I have not been paid completely my 60,000, right? If your guess is as mine. If you want to have maybe deeper conversations about it, we can have it afterward. But emphasis on the kindness, in the sense that experience speaks better. So when you are convincing someone, vote this person, vote, they will start counting series of experience that they have had with women, and how then do you, even as maybe as your boss in the office, and you as a lady as well working with her, you are trying to see like how you can be better, or have that sister to sister kind of relationship, or be treated better, or this person should understood you better. But then you see that there are gaps there. So how do we prove this point to convince people? And that's why men leverage on it to say that we fight each other, we are not in good terms, right? Or we don't love each other. But I mean, there are still the good ones. So if we are kind to each other and making a very good effort to see that if you have a sister or you have a friend who is a female who is kind, emphasis on kind, the qualities, because that's the only thing that will make us convince them. Otherwise, they will keep giving us women leader, women leader. When they give you this position, are you going to do better and be kind to the women around you?
Okay.
And also take them along. That's another thing. I have had a couple of experiences where I want to have access to something, maybe political. I remember a time I wanted to go for Nigerian Youth Parliament. So I tried to pass through a woman who has political position within the local government and all that. In the sense that I don't want to go through the process of man, because at times they will offer you something that you can't meet up with, right? And so you think women are fair, they won't ask me to sleep with them and all. But when you go, they are not accessible, they are not kind, they are not that friendly. So how do we start speaking to ourselves and not just the patriarchal thing, to be kind to each other?
Thank you. We need to keep it to 1 minute. Two people here and then over here. 1 minute, please.
I'll try. Okay. Good morning. My name is Bumi Ayelade. I work with Kimpact Development Initiative. Okay, so from experience, one of the systemic barrier to women participating in governance is violence against women in politics. This is very, very underreported, actually, and it keeps women away from participation generally. What more can we do aside from monitoring the incidences? What more can we do to ensure that women are protected even after the mobilization, after the mentorship, after convincing them to actually come out and participate? What more can we do to protect women from violence?
Thank you very much. You can give the mic to the person behind you.
Okay, my name is Ebere Mbebu. I work for Clean Foundation. I think we've discussed more about participation, and there's need for us to also talk about protection. Protecting those women that have eventually become leaders, because a lot of them have emerged as leaders and they have experienced one form of victimization and forms of violence, and some of them do not have that courage to come out and speak about it. Talking about protection, what comes to mind is the case of Senator Natasha. Even though the case has been resolved directly or indirectly, but somehow she's still facing or experiencing victimization. We all know that there's an ongoing program in New York, and she's supposed to participate, but unfortunately, a woman leader within the Senate was used as a political tool to prevent her from participating. So when do women actually, how can women, coordinate, women in leadership position coordinate themselves and speak in one voice, rather than allowing politics, to divide them? Because once politics divide them, it creates a pathway for the male folks to actually see them as
you can just say for agenda to. Okay, 2 more questions. I remember.
Yeah.
Were you one of the first people?
Yes.
I'm really sorry. We have had a bit more questions than I thought. So you speak and then I'll go. Oh boy.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone.
1 minute.
My name is Bola Bimbola, and I work with Savannah Center for Diplomacy, Democracy, and Development. Good conversation we've had, and I must congratulate all our panelists. However, I am a bit curious in terms of how women group are able to collaborate and build synergy when it comes to some of these critical demands. For example, when you look at male political figure, the elite, so to say, we are here talking about 2027. Believe you me, they're already talking about 2031. They've moved on. They've moved on. So now we have to do a whole lot of catching up. And in doing that, yeah, we are engaging with policymakers and all of that. But one thing we are not really talking about is how our cultural quotient affect our policy making and policy implementation. Most of the problem we tend to want to address it from national level, but the problem is actually local. So we are not really doing much at the community and sub-national level, and we do a whole lot at national level. And when you look at our legal framework, a whole lot of power is resident at the community and sub-national. So moving forward because of time. So I think we need to begin to organize beyond Abuja. Because nobody become anything. We talk about the number of people in National Assembly and all of that. A political party from state level do not agree to nominate a woman, there is nothing National Assembly as an institution can do about it. So political party, we must hold them accountable. Unfortunately, Senator Nenadi already left because I have some really tough questions I wanted to throw at her. Thank you.
You can send the questions to Goodluck Jonathan Foundation. They will forward it to her. 2 at the front. The 2 of them at the front.
Thank you very much. I
1 minute, please. I've been told I have only 10 minutes left.
All right, I'll
so
try
1
to
minute,
keep 1
please.
minute. I'm Grace
Yes.
Jerry from the Inclusive Friends Association. Mine is, I think I would speak around protection too, and how these women can also be empowered. Women who have the courage to come out to say, I want to run. Because we've had instances where women who have already made public their intention, but all of a sudden, they are, I don't know what happens within the system, but they more or less like relinquish that position. They will tell you, I have been spoken to. I have been told to give up my position. I have been told to. And sometimes you would want to wonder, did they give up that position from the place of fear? Or from the place of being inadequate? Or from the point of they've been promised something? Because you would expect to see that these women who are courageous enough would still stand their ground. So how can we better protect? How can we better empower? How can we better support those women to stop giving up their places and their position to these men? And one other thing I've noticed within the spaces is I've been opportune to be at some gatherings. I won't call the name of those political parties here. But the women look like they're just contented in just being the praise singers. It looks like they are contented, and it begins to give this notion that that's the place where they belong. How can we better support the women to begin to see themselves beyond just those praise singers, where the uniforms gather and it ends there?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, my name is Irene Awunaike. I'm the President League of Women Voters of Nigeria. It's very exciting to be in this room. I can see the reason why Madam Ma upgraded to mommy today. She spoke like a mother that is ready to spank everybody. Thank you very much. I have a question and I have, a few things to respond to.
1 minute, though.
1 minute, don't worry.
Yes.
All women group, I want to say that we have a lot of groups already. What we need to do is to come together as a coalition of all those groups. And it's very, very important. And it's something we should do like yesterday. It's once we have something like that, even at the national level, have a national convention of all women's rights groups in Nigeria, and with female politicians in the room, just do a communique. Before the end of the day, the men will start asking questions. Who are those people? Who are those people? And they'll say, oh, Nigerian women have come together under one roof. And they will want to know what conversations we had and what we have. And it's a good place to make our demands, give ultimatums, and even say what we will do if our ultimatums are not obeyed or met. Then, for FIDA, we have a partnership with FIDA for pre-elections engagements with women, female politicians, to give them legal advice, because there's no free, legal, representation in courts. However, I want them to go further for post-election cases. Somebody mentioned in the room about what do we do about women who go through gender-based violence within the political space. Can you people take some of these cases pro bono and then maybe just use one and then make sure that you get conviction? That will send a message to a lot of quarters that when you do this to a woman within a political space, something drastic will be done. Finally, I had a long conversation with two very important people. Why they are important is because they are important to 2027. A member of House of Rep member and an aspirant yesterday. The House of Rep member told me that they have closed for the 10th Assembly. That they are not coming back. They are not interested in anything that is happening there, because their budget is outstanding. They want to go back and realign. And just like somebody said in the room, they are taking out 2031 already. And a female aspirant told me that the party she ran, because I was trying to ask her why she hasn't declared, she said she wants to run again. She was there in 2023. the party she ran has now become a coalition. And the new people that came into the party are not even ready to see her at all. She was, in fact, she left me to a meeting and called me from there and said they drove me out of that meeting. I was an aspirant in this space just last election. And now because some other people have come into the system, I don't even have the space. So what do we do going forward? Can we now move and engage leadership of political parties? Thank you.
I'll take one last question. Shema at the back. I really want to take everybody, but
thank you, Matthew.
Goodluck Jonathan Foundation is telling me I have to wrap up.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, panelists. Thank you, Matthew, for excellent moderation, and panelists for your contributions and for your insights, and the keynote speaker as well. I took notes because I was listening to what everybody was saying intently, but I'd also, at the end of last year, conducted a research on women's leadership and the narrative around women don't support women, and how people have perpetuated a narrative all the time without actually extending grace to women on why, quote unquote, women don't support women. So I have a few thoughts that I'd like to share with us, and maybe questions. The young women, emerging leaders, how do we support their platforms? A lot of times we are saying, oh, we're not seeing enough women. How are we supporting emerging leaders, young women who are doing this work? We need to be seen supporting them. Women supporting women isn't an illusion. Women do support women. It's possible, but we must acknowledge the patriarchal systems, structures that hold them back. And I think a lot of times we haven't even acknowledged how the patriarchy has been set against us, because we're literally swimming against the tide. When you think about the fact that this system has been there since the 70s, 60s, before we even gained independence, and we are trying to fit into those systems, we can't fit into something that wasn't set up for us, something that wasn't structured for us to exist. There's no way we can work in those systems. And until we acknowledge them, either by destroying them, working outside of them, or building our own systems, we're going to be in the same cycle. It's constantly going to be a vicious cycle we're never going to get out of. And I appreciate what she said about women competing for the spotlight. Why? And we do not see that the patriarchy also has a role to play in there. They're constantly reminding women there's only one spot for you, so reserve that spot for yourself. Women are constantly told we can't have that many women in the room, so you have to reserve that spot for yourself. So ordinarily and naturally, you find women wanting to keep that one seat for themselves. And we have to really, truly be very honest with ourselves in understanding how badly the patriarchy has dealt with us. If we do not, we're going to keep thinking it's a women's issue without actually understanding and acknowledging the structures that exist. I also want to say women are not a monolith. I hear it a lot of times saying, oh, women this, women that, all women should this, women should agree, women should that. Men don't agree. Are they put under pressure to agree? Men are diverse. Are they put under pressure to be a monolith? Why do we keep putting that pressure on women? Again, we are trying to make the patriarchy work for us. I am going far. I'm concluding now. Now, moving from voice to power means that we collectively get our hands dirty by doing the work at pulling down systems that have been set against women for decades. We need to learn how to operate outside the system, destroy the system, or create an equitable system. Finally, can we extend grace to women and understand that there are many things that are set up against them, from birth to adulthood, marriage, the workplace, and the political arena? And maybe if we understand to extend grace to women, the way we approach women's leadership, women's issues will be different. And to your point about saying that women are unkind to themselves, I'd like to say men are also unkind. It doesn't mean that all women are bad. Again, women are not a monolith. Not all women are bad. Not all men are bad. Not everybody is evil. I'm here because I'm standing on shoulders of multiple women. A lot of us are standing on shoulders of multiple women. And so it's rather unfortunate that some of us have bad experiences, but that doesn't make it the truth about what women are and what we represent. Thank you. Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you very much. Last contribution.
Thank you very much. My name is Valerie Ariko Etta. I'm with the EU Support to ECOWAS on Peace, Security and Governance Project. And thank you very much for your very useful contributions. They were enlightening, and it was good to also know the work that is being done in our space around this topic. I find that in our work, not just in Nigeria, but across the region, the issue around women in political parties is still a foundational one. Until when the independent candidates bill is passed, the political parties still remain the platform where most candidates would be elected, right? So when you do not now have women occupying political leadership positions within political parties, they lack then the opportunity to mobilize the right support to make them win these positions in
the contest and the elections that they stand for. And this is not only peculiar to us. It runs across different member states in Africa. Unless we have a situation where more women are brought into places of leadership within political party structures to enable them build a followership and ensure that they are seen, they are visible, and they can gather the right amount of followership to then get the numbers, because democracy is still a game of numbers in the end. We would not be addressing then some of the structural issues that will ensure that women also can at least move the needle to some extent. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Okay, we've been very liberal with the questions. Now I'm going to hold the truth of the panelists. Each panelist will have about 2 minutes. Just give 1, 2-word responses. I have broken down the questions into groups, so I can start with you since you have the mic already. You have 3 questions that I'm allocating to you. They are not difficult questions, and you just give 1-word responses. First question, how do you change the perception that women are not kind to each other? 1. Question number 2, how do you stop violence against women and protect women better, both before the contest and even the ones who are already in office, like Senator Natasha? Question number 3, can FIDA broaden their work to include pro bono representation, as she asked, not just pre-election, but post-election in courts? 3 quick questions.
Okay, starting from the last one, it's a clear yes. So FIDA is able to do that and willing to do that. Yes, FIDA will lend support to women candidates or aspirants who suffer any form of injustice or violence in the course of the elections. Then to question number 2, FIDA has always lent support to women who suffer violence. In fact, even in the case reference, FIDA also lent support. And I'm sure that one of the, what will I call her now? Inner caucus active advocates on that matter, and Janobi will testify to that, you know. So sometimes I think the challenge is just that there are many things that happen behind the scene that may sometimes be more work than what you see outside. And because for tactical reasons, those things are best done covertly, one may not fully comprehend the extent of work that is done. But I give the assurance, and of course there are people to testify that FIDA did support and continues to support women in all such situations.
Final
and
question.
then to the first question. Yeah. My dear sister, I would want to first of all say to you, whatever disappointment you suffered, I will apologize on behalf of whoever it is that did it. But truly, it's not a woman problem. It is a human problem. Simply. For those who follow me on social media, one of the things I do is to have these kind of conversations, particularly around family and domestic relations. And I tell people that it is a lie from the pit of hell when anybody tells you that women don't support women or that women are wicked to women. It is a blatant lie. Like the testimony of the lady who spoke from behind, I am a product of the benevolence, of the guidance, of the support of women, many women. I am. And I have extended that same grace to many young women coming after me. But is that to say that there may not be one woman who may feel that Choma has rankled wrongly with her? There will be. And one of the reasons why that may happen is because sometimes when people relate with women, they have certain preconceived expectations of how a woman should be, different from how a human ordinarily is. And when you box women into those stereotypes, mindsets. You are being unfair to them. I'll give a very simple example to conclude. I have a private law firm. I have 4 lawyers who work with me, and 3 of them are ladies. My observation is that when I give instructions, if they realize that I am not likely to be in the office, now as the chairperson of FIDA, maybe I'm sitting here, I'm not in the office. So they know I cannot be there today because they already have a sense of my schedule for the week. Somebody plays smart and doesn't do what they are supposed to do, and they expect that you should cut them some slacks. I won't cut you no slacks. When you send in a report, I will query that report. And then they think you're overdoing. If it is the men, they will not ask all this. My sister, I do not do it because I'm a woman. I'll probably be the same way if I was a man. It is how I am. So what I think happens, and which we should begin to change our mindsets about, is that when we deal with people, let us understand who they are. When they respond to us or deal with us in a manner we find unfair, unfriendly, let us know that it is on them, not on the agenda.
Thank you.
And because it is not on the agenda, we also, in our, maybe as an employee, you may not realize there is also a recruitment process for an employee, but there is. You have a choice as to where you work and who you work with. That's your own point of recruitment. So in that period, you should also determine for yourselves, I will not work with A, I would rather work with B, and not necessarily along gender lines.
Thank you very much. Momima. No, I'm coming to you.
I'm sorry, this Momima is sitting here, and Tiana is here. Please, me, I'm Sister Choma.
Okay. Duly
Yes,
noted.
I'm Sister Choma.
I'll
There
try
should
to
be one
remember.
say it, repeat after me, Sister Choma.
Thank you very much. Okay. Momima, 2 questions for you. You know me and you, we are not playing, we are fighting, so you have to keep to my time. 2 questions, 2 minutes. How do you change cultural attitudes towards women to make it more favorable for them beyond just the politics, the question he asked? Now the second question for you is about how do you encourage, I know you do a project around this, how do you encourage women to take up leadership positions in other spaces, not just in politics, so that they can be more visible?
Okay, thank you. I will just start with what Bola said. He said people are thinking already 2031. But they are doing congresses now. If we raise our voices very hard and make them very uncomfortable, they are going to yield spaces. I know they have promised people who decamped that you are taking spaces, but they are going to yield spaces for us. They can bring their wives and daughters or whoever. Okay, patriarchy has always been with us. And patriarchy was there when Margaret Ekpo them fought hard and won spaces. In the southeast, women were made chiefs before independence. It didn't come easy because women fought for it. For Fumilayo, Lason Kuti and Margaret Ekpo to go for those discussions in UK for Nigeria to have independence, they won it. They won it. They merited it. So it didn't come easy. So patriarchy has always been with us, and it's power relations. Who gets power? And why the men are continually going that route is that they want to keep the power they have gained over the years. We have to disrupt some things, and we can only disrupt by raising our voices. We have a problem, which gave us a catalog of them. We don't need to highlight them again. What we need to do is work and give us spaces. There is still time. They are doing congresses. Whether APC is going to give us women, give us women. We are shouting, they must give us women. We disrupted them in the past. We can still achieve it today. So it is not over until we win. So that is the cultural thing. I said we've been fighting it, and we are going to win at the end of the day. We have been meeting traditional rulers. We have had cause for imams to speak for us. When we killed the indecent dressing bill in the National Assembly, we brought women from all over Nigeria, from Plateau, from Benue, from Akwa Ibom, from Lagos. A woman was the one who presented that bill, Senator Ikaite, but we women killed the bill. When distinguished Senator David Mark entered that room that day, he saw our colorful women from southeast, from south, from north. He said, whoever is against this woman is against God. And that was the end of the bill. We can still do it today. We did it that day. We can do it today. We didn't remember culture. Her reason, honor a senator, the senator that presented the bill, that my bishop is against indecent dressing bill. And already they are using it to rape our girls in Lagos over that one. You know, we have to tell Fashola when he won election. The man who presented you was G3 of Obasanjo to take over Lagos. We fought for you. And you are giving us this bill. And that was the end. We need to raise our voices. We have our voice. That's the only thing they've not taken from us. They've taken everything. But our voice is there. We need to start talking. This research was there. Now, women, in Nigerian women, many in New York, CSW's meeting, they will be telling the story. I was in one meeting, the last day I went. Somebody was telling the story how Amodi mobilized women to kill the indecent dressing bill. Was telling my story. I said, Amadi said, Auntie, my that time was still answering until that Auntie, look at the bill. You and your people killed. Somebody is taking the glory. I say, she's a woman. We all did it.
Okay.
We all did it. So we should come together, like she suggested, until mobilize those your elite women to collapse all our women platforms that we need to go to war.
You want her to close the
voices.
WhatsApp groups?
Thank you.
Okay. Hopefully you're going to do 2 minutes. I'm losing my powers now. 2 questions. There was one that was directed direct to you on whether there will be an integration of disability into the special assets bill equation. And then there's a second question I want you to talk about, which is quite political, about the fact that women, even after they become candidates, are made to step down. And how do you stop that from happening, for them to go all the way when they go into political races? Just those 2 for you.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Lewis, for the question. So my own approach, I think these issues can be solved. So it's important to choose our battles per time. People with disabilities occupy, for example, a very special place in my principal's heart because it's a champion for them. It's also a champion for women and girls. So my principal has a bill for 6 special seats to be created for PWs, but that's not gaining traction because majority of the focus is on getting women to be appropriately represented. So my point is that we need to pursue the angle of allyship. In the rooms where we are not present, in the National Assembly, who are the allies of the people with disabilities? I cannot categorically say that the 5% thing you talked about will be a reality at this time, because what everybody's effort is geared towards is ensuring that we even have the reserved seats. But with allyship, where this could even be another bill. Now that I've told you that we have a bill on this, it could be something that could be enhanced, even if not in this assembly, in the next assembly, because it's not a sprint, it's actually a marathon. The second point I want to make is that civil society also need to pursue this part about allyship. Every majority of the big bills that we have pushed forward as an office, it's in partnership with civil society. I'll give an example. My office partnered with Gender Mobile International, and we got the bill for sexual harassment, prohibition, prevention, and redressal in tertiary institutions. We got it to be passed in the House. It's sponsored by my principal. We got it to be passed in the Senate, and it's before the president right now for assent. this was a partnership between a lawmaker who is even an APC member and Gender Mobile International. The independent candidacy bill, we're also partnering with Elect-R. Elect-R is a female-focused civil society organization. We also have several other partnerships. So the point I'm making, both for PWDs and also for civil society, is that you need to look out for your ally. Who are the people who are passionate about the issues that you are interested in parliament? Don't give or work with a person who is more passionate about some other issue and you want them to push an issue. Their passion will thin out when push comes to shove. And I want to add to it that my principal, for example, has 28 legislative assistants who are PWDs at his constituency level. So you have an ally in such a person. If you want to, as a body, come together to push your issues, you should look out for people like that. It's not the only one, but I'm just saying that. And then on the issue of women stepping down, I feel like I will be rehashing what has been said. The truth remains that, like Madam said, the institutions we have currently, don't look at political parties as a gathering of friends or people who only seek up. Political party is an institution. And it is the laws guiding the institution that determine how it operates. If you don't get a ticket to run under the parties that currently are present, I'm sorry, you cannot run for elections. And so those people who are the decision maker, they determine what happens there. Even if you are a male, you can be told to step down. I don't know if you understand. So that's why things like independent candidacy, that's why I said I don't feel like it's okay to keep repeating that. But that's why things like independent candidacy matter. And I need us to understand that independent candidacy is not just some mental construct. My principal who sponsored that bill is an APC member and is an establishment person, somebody who grew through the ranks. He has been in politics for 15 years and then he's sponsoring independent. That shows that this is something that we should be looking out for. I want to thank Goodluck Jonathan Foundation and of course my brother for the time. But it's important that we don't leave this place just going around the same points. Let's begin to explore new ideas to solving women issues. I thank you all for listening.
Thank you very much. Let's put our hands together for the panel. I think when we started, we said we wanted to be solution-focused. I want to appreciate all of you for patiently sitting in and listening and participating very well. There are a couple of things that maybe we should just highlight as we close. I just want to create a summary of some of the recommendations. Women need to show up, and they need to continue showing up. We need to focus on implementing the current reforms we have in our laws, in addition to asking for new ones. We need to explore new constitutional avenues and creations like proportional representation. I know in this constitutional amendment process at the beginning, some parliamentarians made the suggestion for us to move from a presidential system of government to a parliamentary system of government. A personal priority, well, not priority, a personal opinion that I actually agree with very strongly, but it didn't fly. And we need to continue pushing some of these ways of rechanging the whole system rather than just amending the current system that is struggling to keep up. We need to mount pressure on current reforms and institutions. We need to collaborate more with allies within the institutions that you want the changes to happen. And of course, from Mommy, Mma, we need to speak more, we need to mobilize more. I want to thank you so much, Mommy Mma, Sister Choma, and Brother Temidayo for your time. And please, let's put hands together for them as they go back to their seats.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. If you ask me to show you a great panel, I will just point out these people that have left here now. Please, may we jam our heads one more time for them. These are, we have had distinguished panelists who have given us quite impactful perspectives. We have listened to the valid points they have given us in view of the theme of the event. Also, the key recommendations that they gave. The good thing is that while this was going on, our rapporteurs have been busy taking copious notes. I know that this eventually will be distilled into a communique that we eventually share with all those who are here, and we are going to also cascade it to the media and to all the relevant stakeholders in our society. This is what we do as part of our advocacy to push the interests of women. So I believe that whatever is going to come out of this program this afternoon will be cascaded to all those who need it. And at the end of the day, in our own tradition, as a part of our advocacy drill, we'll continue to follow up on them to ensure that it goes beyond just talks that we had this afternoon, to result into measurable actions towards expanding the space of our women in places of power. So I thank you all for having participated in this. Let me say that in terms of time management, all our participants have been very, very, very cautious of time. If we had started when we were built to start, the whole program would have lasted for 2 hours, 20 minutes. But at the end of the day, given when we started, we were able to wrap it up in about 2 hours, 40 minutes. So we didn't do badly at all. So at this point, let me invite Mr. Joseph Phillips, who is our advisor on programs, to give us a vote of thanks. And then we close.
Good afternoon, everybody, once again. I have only one simple responsibility, and that's to say thank you. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for staying all through. And thank you for coming next time when we invite you. And to also advocate for the men also, that we are equally allies. So, Mommy Mma, Mommy Ene, and Sister Choma, when you people are mobilizing, remember also that there are some of us that are biased towards women. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Let us end on the note we started, and that is by taking our national anthem. Are we going to sing this time? We don't know it. See you next time, next year maybe.